At the start of the drama, we are shown a high school in Bangkok, where the female lead, Gorya, is sitting in class studying. Just then, a girl named Hana approaches her. She tells Gorya, "I came from abroad today." Gorya then tells her, "I am here on a scholarship." Hana asks, "Can we be friends?" Gorya agrees. Then Hana says, "Would you like to give any advice to a new student like me?" Gorya says, "New students are harassed here." One of the new students receives a red card, and then this news is sent to all students via a message. The student whose locker has the red card is bullied by the entire school. Kids take their phone and run away. Hana asks, "Don't even the teachers stop them?" Gorya replies, "No one can stop them, not even the school director." The student with the red card is forced to go to the stadium, where that student is hit. In the next scene, F4 makes their entrance, and all the girls are happy to see them. Gorya and Hana also arrive there. The F4 leader, Time, takes a mobile from a student and says, "Do you want to ruin the school's reputation?" The student replies, "With the videos I have made, your truth will be exposed to everyone." Time says, "Are you talking about these videos?" The student sees that all the videos have disappeared. Time says, "Nothing is difficult for us." Then that student punches Time, so Time starts hitting him too. One of the F4 members doesn't like this fight, so he gets up and leaves. Seeing all this, Gorya gets angry. She goes to the terrace and starts shouting, "This school only looks good from the outside, but it's rotten on the inside." An F4 member hears everything she says and smiles. In the next scene, Gorya goes to her part-time job. Her uncle says, "I don't believe your F4 story. I found out that the F4 guys are very nice. Their leader, Time, who belongs to a business family, is sharp in both studies and sports." Gorya says, "I don't know how he passes without attending classes." The second one is MJ, who is a cool bad boy and is mostly found in bars. Gorya says MJ is a mafia. Then there's Kevin, whose family has a healthcare business. Gorya says he is a playboy. He likes to flirt with girls. And finally, there is Ren, who is the son of a famous businessman in Thailand. Gorya says he is different from the other F4 members, but they don't stop each other from doing anything wrong. They all belong to rich families, so they lead the school by giving donations. After this, Gorya is shown with her family, where her mom says, "We are very happy that our daughter studies in such a big school. Who knows, maybe some handsome and rich boy will approach you there." Then we are shown a girl, Mira, who, to encourage the students, says, "Forget your status and follow your dream." Gorya says, "I followed Mira's advice and got admission in this school, but there is nothing special about it." On the other hand, Hana tells Gorya, "I don't like students being bullied like this either, but thank you so much for telling me everything. Otherwise, I might have gotten into trouble too." Gorya says, "We will only concentrate on our studies." Hana agrees to this, but as she is about to go outside, she bumps into Time, causing her noodles to fall on Time's shoes. Time says to Hana, "Is this your way of flirting with boys?" Hana apologizes to him and says, "I didn't do it on purpose. I will get you new shoes." He says, "These came from Paris. Can you afford them?" MJ then says, "Don't scare such a cute girl." Hana requests, "Please forgive me. I will do whatever you say." All the students say, "Clean his shoes with your tongue." Time then says, "You can do that. If you do it, I will forgive you." All the students start clapping. Gorya gets angry, comes to Time and says, "She didn't do it on purpose, so please forgive her." Time asks, "Are you giving me an order?" Gorya denies it. Time says, "All right, I accept your order." And he says to Hana, "You are lucky to have a friend like her." Then he leaves from there. The next day, there is a red card in Gorya's locker. Seeing this, Gorya makes an excuse of being unwell and goes to the school doctor. Two other students also arrive there to bother her. While the doctor is checking them, Gorya runs away, but the students throw water on her. Then she goes to the rooftop and starts shouting. Ren tells her, "It was very quiet here before you came." Then some girls arrive there, so Ren grabs her and hides her. Those girls ask Ren, "Did you see a girl?" Ren lies, "No." After they leave, he says to Gorya, "You can stay here until school is over," but without shouting. Then she stays hidden there until night. At night, when she comes to get her things from the locker, some boys come and start harassing her and making a video of her. Just then, Ren arrives and says to those boys, "Leave." Gorya is crying, so Ren tells her, "Go home." She says, "Those boys must be waiting outside." So Ren sets off the fire alarm with a lighter. He then tells Gorya, "Now you are safe," because the alarm scared those boys away. Coming home, Gorya locks herself in her room, but her mom opens the door, comes in, and asks her, "What happened?" Gorya says, "I don't want to study in this school." Her mom says, "You are very strong. Your future is in your hands, so just think about handsome and rich boys." Gorya says, "Money is not everything." Her mom replies, "With money, you will get a better life." Meanwhile, Time thinks, "Why did Ren help that girl?" MJ says, "You have never given a red card to a girl before. You should end all this right here." Just then, the maid comes and says to Time, Your mom has returned from Singapore, so Time leaves. Time's mom is a famous businesswoman. She says to Time, I heard you created a problem at school. You can't even handle school. How will you handle the business? On the other side, we see Gorya's mom has bought new shoes for her. Her dad puts the shoes on her and says, now all your problems will be solved because good shoes will bring you good luck. The next day, when Gorya goes to school in her new shoes, something falls on them while she is getting something from her locker. She takes off the shoe to clean it, and some students take it and run away. Then Gorya goes towards the stadium, where Time is also present. He cuts Gorya's shoe and throws it in the dustbin. Gorya gets very angry, takes the shoe out of the dustbin, and puts it on. Time comes to her and says, you'll still wear them? Gorya gives him a powerful kick, sending him flying. She tells him, you want me to give up, but I will not give up and will keep fighting you. Then this video goes viral on social media. A little later, MJ and Kevin receive a message from Time, which says, I will be late for school today. Meanwhile, when Gorya leaves for school, some people kidnap her. Gorya thinks, everyone is going to do something bad to me. But those people start doing her makeup and then leave her in a room. Time arrives there and says, smile a little, I've spent 5 million on you. Then he gives her a car key and says, from tomorrow, don't go by bus, take this car. Gorya asks him, what do you want? Why are you doing all this? Time says, record a video of you apologizing to me, and all these things will be yours. Gorya says, why should I apologize? You should apologize to me. And as for your expensive things, I don't want any of them. My self-respect is more important to me. As Gorya starts to leave, Time forcibly grabs her and says, record the video, but Gorya hits him and runs away. But Time catches her and says, tell me, how much money do you want? 15 million? Or 20 million? I will give you as much as you want. While they are fighting, Time's mom arrives. She has the guards throw Gorya out of the house. In the next scene, when Gorya comes to school, the kids have written very nasty things about her on the board. At that moment, a message arrives on her mobile that says, Gorya has more than 10 boyfriends. Gorya gets so angry that she goes straight from the class to the rooftop and starts shouting. The next day, when Hana opens her locker, there is a red card inside. Everyone grabs her and takes her to the stadium. Time is about to cut her hair with a razor. Just then, Gorya arrives. Gorya says to Time, if you have a problem with me, why are you harassing my friend? Time comes to her and says, if you cut your hair, I will let you all go. Gorya goes to him and says, you are a spoiled brat. She is about to cut her hair when Ren arrives, and Gorya is saved. On the other hand, we see Time, who is very angry because Gorya's supporters were increasing on social media. The next day, when Gorya comes to school, the same girls come to her and apologize, saying, you are a hero in everyone's eyes. We made a big mistake by supporting F4. Gorya forgives them. Those girls tell her, Mira is coming back from France tomorrow, and a party has been arranged for her arrival. You should come to the party too. Gorya says, I don't have a dress for the party. The girls say, you can come wearing anything casual. Anyway, we're all going in casuals. On the other side, the 4 boys have come to pick up Mira from the airport. As soon as Mira arrives, Ren runs and hugs her. Meanwhile, Gorya and Kaning have arrived at the party. Just then, the same girls come and start making fun of Gorya's clothes. Gorya asks them, what do you guys want? Those girls say, you are not on our level. We know you are deliberately flirting with Ren, but Ren has a better girlfriend than you who looks more beautiful. Saying this, they drop a plate on her. Just then, Ren comes and gives her his hanky, saying, you can clean your dress. Seeing all this, Mira gets so angry that she takes a champagne bottle and throws it at those girls. Mira takes Gorya to her room. Mira tells her, Ren has told me everything about you. Maybe he likes you. Gorya says jokingly, he's your boyfriend, isn't he? Mira asks, who said that? Gorya says, everyone says so. Mira says, I saw that video where you hit Time. Even I don't have the courage to do that. In the next scene, Mira gives Gorya a good makeover and takes her to the party. Ren comes to her and says, you look very beautiful. Seeing all this, Time gets so angry that he asks Ren, I gave this girl a red card, so why are you still helping her? Mira intervenes and tries to explain to Time, but Time pushes her as well. Seeing this, Ren gets so angry that he starts hitting Time. They fight for a long time. Meanwhile, Gorya goes to stop Time, but she falls directly onto him, and they accidentally kiss. In the next scene, Time tells his friends, Gorya kissed me on purpose. He continues, I understand what type of girl Gorya is. She wants me to chase her, and I can handle a girl like that very easily. Both of them say to him, apologize to Ren. Time says, why should I apologize? He will apologize because it was his fault. If he doesn't apologize, I will never talk to him again. On the other hand, Mira says to Ren, you two still fight like children. You used to fight like this in childhood too. Do you want Time to say sorry to you? Ren says, he will never say sorry. In childhood, I always had to be the one to go and apologize, but now he has to understand. Then he asks, what are you going to do after graduation? Mira says, I have something to tell you. The next day, Gorya goes to the rooftop to return Ren's hanky, but she doesn't find him there. After coming down, Kevin tells her, Ren is at Mira's house at the moment, so she goes to his house. But suddenly, it starts to rain. After reaching the house, she sees Ren and Mira having an argument. Mira tells Ren, I have made my decision. I will now stay in France. I have to fulfill my dream. Ren says, you are leaving everyone here, including me. You know about my feelings. In the next scene, when Gorya is going to school by bus, she sees Time there. She asks him, what are you doing here? Time says, I wanted to experience sitting on a bus. Seeing the bus empty, Gorya asks him, where did everyone go? Time shouts, I bought this bus. Gorya is about to shout at him. Then Gorya runs and says to him, stop the bus. Time says, what is your problem? Gorya again says to him, stop the bus. But Time wasn't letting the bus stop. Just then, a car suddenly comes in front of the bus. The bus stops, and Gorya gets out. When Time comes after her, a girl comes and kicks him hard in the face. This girl's name is Tia, and she is Time's older sister. She says to Time, why are you harassing this girl? She has Gorya sit in her car, gives her her card, and says, you can call me whenever you want. Tia says to Time, I know you are not a bad person. Stop bothering that girl. Time asks, why have you come back here? Tia explains, Mom has given me an urgent task. She is going to expand her business throughout Asia. Nothing will be the same as before. So, you should grow up too. The next day, when she goes to the rooftop, Ren is not there. But then, suddenly, Ren comes from behind. Gorya asks him, are you okay? Ren says, since childhood, I have been very close to Mira. When Mira makes a decision, no one can change it. I always thought I would be with her, but now the time has come for me to move on. He adds, Mira has invited you to her house to give you a gift. Time is watching both of them together. Ren takes Gorya to Mira's house. Mira gifts her the same sandals that she had Gorya wear at the party. Inside her room, Gorya sees many childhood photos of F4. Then she gets on her knees and says to Mira, I can't see Ren sad, so please don't leave. Mira says, what I am about to do will bring a smile to many people's faces. And anyway, Ren is strong. He can take care of himself. And I know that you like Ren. Please stay just the way you are. Ren is watching all this from outside. When Gorya starts to leave, Ren comes to her and says, did I ask you to go and request Mira? You have no right to make decisions about my life. Gorya pushes him and says, have you ever thought about your own feelings? You gave up without even trying. Ren says, what can I do? Gorya says, when Mira can fight so much for her dreams, why can't you? You should try a lot for Mira, but you are not doing anything. In the next scene, everyone has come to see Mira off, but Ren is not there. A little later, Gorya also arrives. Mira hugs her and leaves, but then we see Ren coming from behind. Gorya says to Ren, are you still not going to do anything? Ren shows his passport and says, I am also going to France. Whatever the result, I will definitely try. Ren kisses Gorya on the forehead and says, you are the one who motivated me. Time says, how can you do this? You didn't even tell me before leaving. We have been friends since childhood, and you are leaving without telling me. Ren says, take care of yourself. Time shouts, I haven't even said sorry to you yet. Ren says, there's no need for that. He hugs Time and says, if you have any problem, let me know. The next day, Gorya and Hana are having lunch when some girls come to bother Gorya and say, now Ren is not here to save you either. Just then, Time suddenly appears on the display screen and makes an announcement. Gorya is completely shocked. He says, come to the clock tower at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Gorya, that's all I had to say. Hana says, did Time ask you out on a date? Gorya says, this must be a new way to trouble me. On the other hand, Time is waiting for Gorya near the clock tower. When Gorya reaches the clock tower, she sees Time getting drenched in the rain. Gorya gives Time an umbrella. Time throws the umbrella away and says, I have never waited for anyone in my life. Gorya says, did I ask you to wait for me? And you could have stood somewhere else to avoid the rain. You are an idiot. Time says, you are an idiot. And like this, they both start fighting. Due to getting drenched in the rain, Time falls ill, so Gorya gives him her towel. After that, Gorya also takes him to a restaurant for dinner. But seeing the prices there, she runs away. Gorya says, let's go somewhere else. Time says, I am very hungry. If you don't pay, I will pay myself. But just then, the door there closes. Gorya shouts loudly, but no one comes to open the door. Her phone is broken, and Time's phone battery is also dead. When Time comes to Gorya, she sees that he has a very high fever. So Gorya forcibly gives him medicine and takes care of him by applying a cold compress. Time asks Gorya about her family. Gorya says, we are very poor, and everyone must be worried that I am not home at this time. Gorya asks Time about his family, and Time says, my family doesn't care. It doesn't affect them no matter how many days I am missing. Gorya asks, why do you give people red cards and trouble them? Time says, from today, I am canceling the red card for you. Then Time gets up to check if Gorya is sleeping or not. and then he goes back and sleeps at her feet. Just then, a lady arrives, so they both run away from there. In the next scene, Time comes to drop Gorya home and asks, "Did you go on a date with F4?" Gorya says, "You can't call that a date." Time asks her, "Do you want to go out again?" But Gorya refuses. While she is going inside, someone is clicking Gorya's pictures. When Gorya goes inside, everyone asks, "Where were you so early in the morning?" Her dad is hiding something. Gorya asks, "What happened?" Her mom explains, "Your dad has taken a loan from someone and didn't tell us about it." When Gorya hears the amount, she is shocked because it is quite large. When she checks her passbook, she finds that she doesn't have much money in her account. So she goes to the people from whom her dad had taken the loan. Gorya says, "I only have a little money right now, I will give the rest later." The man there suggests, "We have an easy way to earn money." They make her wear a costume and sit her with some people. One of the customers there tries to get close to Gorya, so she gives him a kick, sending him flying, and says to the men there, "Tell your boss, I will find another way to repay the money. I don't want to do this useless work." The next day, Hana comes and shows her a video in which Gorya was with Time when he went to drop her home. Hana asks her, "Are you dating Time?" Gorya denies it. Just then, Time arrives and says, "Does anyone have a problem if Gorya and I are dating?" He adds, "And anyway, I have cancelled Gorya's red card." Then it goes viral throughout the school that Gorya and Time are hanging out together, and everyone starts taking their photos. Kevin stops her and says, "There's no need to be afraid of us." MJ asks Time, "Did you two really go on a date?" Gorya is about to say no, when Time says, "Tell the truth." Gorya says, You forcibly took me on a date." After Gorya leaves, Kevin asks Time, "Are you really serious about Gorya? You two are very different, and your family will never agree. You know your mom forced your sister into a marriage, and doing all this could get you into trouble too." Time says, "I will definitely give it a try," and saying that, he leaves. On the other hand, the maid sees the towel that Gorya had given. Gorya's dad is fixing her phone. Just then, the doorbell rings. Gorya opens the door to find Time standing outside. Gorya tells him to go home. When her dad hears the name Time, he is shocked, and then everyone together takes care of Time. They feed him, where everyone is asked to tell their sad story. Gorya says, "My story is the saddest. I have to bear my own expenses along with my studies. On top of that, my family has such a huge debt." Time explains, "My life is quite good. No one talks to us at the dinner table. We remain completely silent while eating. Conversation only happens there when business needs to be discussed. Other than that, there is no conversation. In my house, food is made with top ingredients, but today's dinner was the tastiest in the world." The next day, when Gorya goes to school, everyone is looking at some pictures. These are the same pictures from when Gorya went to the bar. Gorya is shocked to see the photos, and at that very moment, Time arrives there. He asks Gorya, "What is all this?" Gorya says, "This is not true. Someone is trying to frame me." Time says, "Do I look stupid to you? I can see all the photos clearly. I thought you were a good girl." Then, showing a photo, he asks, "This is you, isn't it?" Gorya says yes. Hearing this, Time gets very angry, tears up the photo right there, and leaves. All the students in the school are saying very nasty things to Gorya. On the other hand, MJ says, "I think Gorya is telling the truth." Kevin says, "We need to find out who is doing all this." On the other side, we see Time, who is sitting very sadly. MJ asks him, "Did you really believe those photos?" But Time says nothing. Meanwhile, Kevin asks the girls at the club, "Is there any CCTV camera here?" The girls say, "Everything is kept secret here." Kevin shows them the same photos and asks, "How did all these photos leak out?" The girl says, "I don't know anything." When the club's boss finds out that this is Kevin, he is shocked. Kevin asks the club owner about the photos. The owner is not willing to say anything. He says, "We didn't do anything." Kevin says, "Tell the truth, it's for your own good. If my family gets involved in this, you all will be in big trouble." In the same bar are Time and MJ. Hana also arrives there. She is behaving very strangely. MJ sees her. She mixes something in a drink and takes it to Time. Time drinks it. Then Hana notices that even while sleeping, Time was saying Gorya's name. Hearing this, Hana gets very angry. The next day, when Gorya comes to school, a girl breaks her chair. She says, "You did not do right by Time." Everyone says, "Her red card has been cancelled. Don't do this to her." The girl says, "She has messed with our Time. We won't let her go like this." Then she says, "I will get permission for this from Time himself." She then messages Time about the red card. The reply comes, "Do it." This message was not sent by Time, but by Hana. Meanwhile, all the girls turn Gorya's bag upside down. Just then, they find a key inside the bag. Gorya says, "This is my friend's bike key, please don't do anything to it," but they all break the bike together. In the next scene, Kevin goes to MJ and tells him the club owner's name. MJ says, "Maybe we've heard this name before." Then Kevin asks about Time. MJ says, "Yesterday he was with a girl. After that, I don't know where he went. When I messaged him, he replied, 'I am at home.'" Kevin asks about the girl. MJ reveals Gorya's friend Hana. She's one thing at school but something else in reality. Then they both investigate Hana. They find out that Hana is the club owner's daughter. When Time wakes up, he asks, "How did I get here?" Hana says, "You fainted, so I brought you here." When he moves the curtain, seeing the Ferris wheel reminds him of Gorya. Hana says, "Forget Gorya." He asks, "Where is my phone?" Hana says, "Gorya is not worthy of you. I made a lot of effort to be worthy of you. I have even done research on you." Time asks, "Who are you?" Hana says, "We have met before." Then a flashback scene shows when they were both little. Back then, Hana liked Time, but Time rejected her, calling her ugly. She explains, "For Time, I worked hard to change myself. I even got plastic surgery." She continues, "To get your attention, I bumped into you, but your focus was only on Gorya. I tried my best to defame her, but you are still saying her name." Time asks, "Why did you do all this?" Hana says, "I love you." Time says, "You should hate me, not love me." Time says, "I will choose Gorya. No matter how much you change yourself, you can never become Gorya." Then Hana, showing his phone, says, "What if Gorya is out of the way?" Time, alarmed, asks, "What have you done?" He asks for his phone, but Hana doesn't give it to him. Then Hana threatens him, "I will hurt myself and all the blame will come on you." Time tells her, "Don't," but she was not ready to listen. Time stops her and says, "You should first love yourself." On the other hand, everyone has broken Gorya's bike and phone. Then they set the bike on fire. A boy is about to hit Gorya, but just then Time arrives and starts beating everyone up. Gorya feels dizzy, so he picks her up and says, "I'm sorry I'm late. I trust you." After that, Time takes Gorya to his house. He says to Gorya, "Are you still thinking about Hana?" Gorya says, "I can't believe Hana could do something like this." Then Time asks to apply medicine to her hand, but Gorya, seeing Time's injury, says, "First, I will apply it to your hand." Time refuses and says, "I will apply it first." Then Time says, "Because of this incident, I understood how much I love you. You have to be with me always." Time keeps talking, but Gorya has fallen asleep. He looks at her, smiles, and falls asleep sitting right there. In the morning, when Gorya wakes up, Time is not there. Gorya gets scared when the maid arrives. The maid says, "Sir is not here. Get ready quickly." Then she takes Gorya and explains, "Sir didn't know the model of the bike that was burned. He only knew the color, so he brought all the models. You can take whichever one you think is right." Just then Time calls. He asks, "Have you chosen the bike?" But Gorya was refusing to take the bike. So Time says, "The bike belonged to your friend, so you should keep it." Then Gorya asks, "Where did you go so early in the morning?" Time says, "I went to teach a lesson to all the people who hurt you yesterday." Gorya says, "Don't do anything serious." Time says, "I just told MJ to handle it. You choose a bike and come to school. And if you can't choose, keep all the bikes." On the other side, Hana was leaving with her belongings. Then Gorya comes to her and says, "I heard you were leaving school. Don't you have anything to say to me?" Hana refuses and leaves. Gorya says, "You did not do a good thing at all. I cannot forgive you. I never felt that our friendship was fake. You are leaving without saying anything. I will not let you go." But Hana says nothing and leaves quietly. When Gorya checks her locker, there is a sorry note attached. Time is watching everything from above. Then he announces in front of everyone, "If anyone bothers my girlfriend, it means they have bothered me." Hearing all this, Gorya and everyone else are shocked. Gorya tells Time, "Stop assuming things on your own." Time says, "Yesterday I asked you to be my girlfriend and you said yes." Gorya says, "When did I say that? I don't remember anything." A flashback shows that when Gorya was sleeping, Time had asked her, and Gorya had said yes in her sleep. Then Time says, "We did something else too." The flashback scene shows that they also accidentally kissed. Gorya was quite scared. She asks, "What did you do to me?" Time says, "I didn't do anything. You did." Just then, Ren arrives. Time and Gorya keep looking at him. Ren is also looking at them. Time tells Ren, "Gorya is my girlfriend." Ren says, "I am very happy about that." In the next scene, while the assembly is going on, Gorya tries to start her phone, but it's not turning on. In the middle of the assembly, Time dismisses the teacher and makes an announcement saying, "Gorya, come behind the meeting hall right now." Going outside, Time tells her, "I have called you 83 times. Gorya explains, "My phone is broken." Time brings her a new phone, but Gorya refuses to take it. Now Gorya is absolutely not agreeing. So Time places the phone on the ground and says, "If anyone wants a phone, take it from here." Now Gorya has no option, so she takes the phone. In the next scene, Gorya goes to the rooftop to return Ren's hanky. Gorya says, "You have changed. You have even stopped sketching." Ren says, "My sketchbook is lost somewhere." Then he asks, "How is your date with Time going?" Gorya says, "We are not in a relationship. Time decided this himself." Ren says, "You can date me along with Time. There's no need to tell him." Hearing this, Gorya is shocked. Then Ren laughs and says, "I was just kidding." In the next scene, Gorya is quite tense. When she checks her phone, Time is continuously sending her messages. Cunning asks, "Do you want to go on a date or not?" Gorya says, "If I don't go on the date, Time will bother me even more." So Kaning says, On Saturday, I am going to the zoo with my boyfriend. You can call Time there too. When Gorya asks Time about this, he refuses. Then she gets a call from Time. Time says, ask me lovingly to come. Hearing all this, Gorya gets very angry, but she lovingly says, please come. In the next scene, Gorya meets Ren. She asks him, what happened in France? Ren says, she was very happy to see me in France. Thank you for sending me there. Gorya says, my bus has arrived, and runs away. Her phone falls. On the other side, Ren was painting very angrily. Just then, Time arrives and asks about the kind of dressing people do for dates. Ren starts laughing and then selects a dress for Time. He finds Gorya's phone there. Ren explains, Gorya came to see me, so her phone fell there. The next day, Time is waiting outside the shop. Gorya comes and tells him, don't get angry at all today. While looking at the animals, Tesla tries to get close to Gorya, but Time comes in between. Gorya tries to change Time's mood. Gorya asks Time, how was your day? He says, the day was good without Tesla. Gorya thanks him, and Time says, I am trying to be a good boyfriend. Gorya says, when did I say I am your girlfriend? Time says, I know we are not a couple. When I become confident, I will ask again. Then they both take a selfie. Time asks Gorya, where is your phone? Gorya says, maybe it was left on the bus. Time checks the phone again and asks, you didn't go to meet anyone? Gorya says, no. Then Time goes to the washroom, and on the way, he hears Tesla on the phone saying, Canning is not my type of girl. Her friend Gorya is very cute. Hearing this, Time angrily starts hitting Tesla. Canning and Gorya arrive. Gorya tells him, you could have controlled yourself a little. Time says, do you know what he said? Gorya says, whatever he said. What was the need to hit him? Time gets angry and leaves. At school, news breaks that Mira and an actress like each other. Seeing this, Gorya runs off. Ren meets her and says, after I went to France, I understood something. Mira doesn't like me. She likes someone else. Ren thinks, I am useless. But Gorya says, you are not useless, you saved me. Time sees both of them together and is very angry. As soon as he comes down, he gets into a fight with a boy. MJ and Kevin say to each other that when he is in this state, no one can stop him. In a short while, Gorya arrives and stops Time. Time stops, but says to Kevin, from now on, F4 will only have 3 members. MJ tells Time, Ren is our friend. Time says, I don't want friends like that, and you two won't talk to him either, and leaves in anger. Gorya stops him, so Time gives her the phone and asks, is there anything left to talk about? Gorya says to Time, I lied to you about the phone. If you have to be angry with me. Why are you taking it out on others? What did Ren do after all? Hearing all this, Time gets even angrier. He starts breaking things. He says, I won't kick him out of F4. Just say, I hate Ren. He repeatedly says to Gorya, say it, but Gorya says nothing. Seeing this, Time gets even angrier. He wants to raise his hand on Gorya, but he doesn't. He says, I know you will never choose me. In the next scene, we see Tia, who is told by the school director, the parents of the boy Time hit want to file a case against Time. Time's manager comes and says, we are talking to the other party. If they don't agree, Madam herself will talk. On the other hand, Time is locked in his room. The maid is calling him out to eat, but he doesn't open the door. Just then, his mom breaks down the door and goes inside. She says to Time, this time you have caused a huge loss. The company has been affected because of spending so much money. Time asks, are you worried about me or the company? His mom asks, are you doing all this because of some girl? Time says, what are you going to do? She says, I haven't done anything yet, so don't force me to do the same things to you that I did to your sister. On the other side, Canning was trying to patch things up with her boyfriend Tesla, but Tesla doesn't reply to her. Meanwhile, Ren takes Gorya out. He tells her, you were making me quite tense, so I brought you out. After that, they both have a lot of fun and play many games. Gorya says, today was a lot of fun. Ren says, you went on a date with Time too, didn't you? Gorya says, whenever I go with him, some problem or the other occurs. He says, you seem very happy talking about Time. Ren says, if you had to choose between me and Time, who would you choose? Gorya says nothing. She goes to pick up her bag, but her phone falls. While trying to catch the phone, their heads collide. Right there, Gorya also sees Tesla with someone else. She is about to go towards him, but Ren stops her. Tesla's girlfriend is happy to see Kevin. Kevin gives her something she likes and says, I want to help you with your shopping. But Tesla says, my girlfriend won't go. But she goes with Kevin. Tesla stops her and says, if you kiss him, I won't spare you. The girl says, I'm not afraid of you, and breaks up with him. Tesla comes out and meets Canning. Canning thanks the girl and leaves. He introduces Canning as his girlfriend. Tesla says angrily, all F4 members like low-class girls. Time also likes Gorya. When I talked to her, he hit me. Hearing all this, Gorya gets very angry. She slaps Tesla hard and says, so what if I'm poor? You can never be like my boyfriend Time. He is much better than you. Don't say anything about Time again. Hearing this, Ren smiles. Then Ren calls Time. He goes out angrily. MJ asks, where are you going? Time says, Ren has called me to the school. MJ calls Kevin as well. Now all four of them reach the stadium. Time asks Ren, why have you called me here? If you want to talk about Gorya, then he adds, I'm not interested. I don't want to lose 401 for Gorya. F4 is mine and Gorya is yours. Ren, trying to provoke him, says, Gorya was never yours. I am the one who likes her. Today I proposed to her and she said yes. Now I am her boyfriend. Gorya is cute, but I don't want to be in a relationship with her. She's only good for a time pass. Now, hearing all this, Time was very angry. They both start fighting. Meanwhile, Gorya is typing a sorry message to Time, but just then she gets a call from Tia. Ren says to Time, you don't care about Gorya at all, so why are you so angry? Time says, Gorya is very important to me. I love her, so don't insult her. Ren laughs and says, I lied to you. If I didn't do this, you would never have said, I love Gorya. Then he explains, Gorya loves you too. She keeps talking about you. Hearing all this, Time becomes very happy. Everyone starts laughing. Now Gorya also arrives there. They tell Gorya that everything is fine. Ren tells her, go and talk to Time. Gorya asks, what should I talk to him about? Ren says, at the mall you were shouting, Time is your boyfriend. Now everyone starts laughing. Time asks Gorya, did you say that I am your boyfriend? So Gorya starts to deny it. Then Gorya applies medicine to Time's wound and says, I'm sorry for the incident with Tesla. She says, you must have been angry with me. Time says, I can never be angry with you. Then he takes her outside the stadium, and sitting there he says, I was always afraid that I wasn't as strong as my family. I always thought, if I can control the school, I can also control the business. But when I met you, I started to hate myself. You changed me completely. I have decided, from today onwards, I will not fight with anyone, nor will I give anyone a red card. The next morning, when Gorya reaches home, Time's mom is sitting there. Gorya says hello to her and asks, why have you come here? Rosalind says, how do you people live in such a small and dirty house? Gorya says, please get to the point. Rosalind says, you want money. That's why you have trapped my son Time. How much money will you take to leave my son? Gorya says, money is not the solution to everything. Rosalind offers her 15 million, but Gorya refuses. Hearing all this, Gorya's mom gets very angry. She says, you are trying to buy my daughter in my own house? Then Gorya's mom gets so angry that she throws fish sauce on Rosalind. Rosalind says to Gorya, I came to sort everything out with money. No matter how hard you try, you can never be perfect for Time. After Rosalind leaves, Gorya thanks her mom and asks, why have you packed your things? Are you going somewhere? Gorya's dad explains, my company has shut down and I no longer have a job, so we are going to the village. Gorya had not been going to school for many days and was busy with her part-time job. Time tries to contact her, but Gorya doesn't meet him, so he calls Kevin and asks for help. Kevin goes to the flower shop and says to Kaning, Time is unable to contact Gorya. Kaning explains, Gorya's family is facing financial problems. Her mom and dad have gone to the village to work. Then she also adds, Time's mom went to her house and offered Gorya money to leave him. Kevin asks, which company did Gorya's dad work for? In the next scene, we see Time, very angry, arriving at his mom's place. He asks her, how could you do this to Gorya's family? It turns out that Time's mom was behind the shutdown of Gorya's dad's company. His mom says, you have become quite smart, so why are you wasting your time over a girl? Time says, if you don't stop all this, I will help Gorya. His mom asks, how will you help her? Time says, I will do my best. In the next scene, we see Gorya. She is coming home after work. Then she thinks, a thief is behind me. She runs and hides. As soon as she gets home, someone comes behind her again. She slaps him hard. It turns out it was none other than Time. She asks Time, what are you doing here? Time says, I am just going to my house. Gorya says, your house is not here. Time says, I have bought the house opposite yours. Now we are neighbors. She says to Time, why did you buy this house? Have you gone mad? Time says, how can I leave you alone? You two live here alone, and there are robberies happening in this area. If something happens to you, I will regret it for my whole life. Gorya says, if you want to live here, you can. But before taking care of others, learn to take care of yourself first. Time says, I am Time. There is no work that I cannot do. At night, when Gorya falls asleep, Time shouts loudly for help. Gorya immediately rushes there, and Time says, I am trying to wash clothes. Gorya teaches him how to use the washing machine. A little later, Time shouts again. Gorya runs back to him. Time says, what is that moving in front? Go and catch it. Gorya catches the cockroach and starts to throw it on Time. So Time, out of fear, shouts again. In the next scene, Tia calls Time and says, it seems Mom is planning something big, so your birthday party is going to be quite grand. Be a little careful with Gorya. Time says, I don't even know if Gorya will come to my birthday. Tia says, she will definitely come. I have also sent a dress for her. On the other side, Gorya sees Time's birthday invitation, and with it, Tia has sent a lovely dress. Gorya didn't want to go, but her brother convinces her and says, everything will be fine soon, you should go there. The next morning, we see that Time makes breakfast for both of them. Gorya asks him, do you eat cookies? Time says, I eat everything. At school, Gorya is looking up a recipe for cookies. At the same time, she overhears the four of them talking. One of them says, I can't wash clothes, but I have an idea. As soon as Gorya falls asleep, I will go home, get my clothes washed, and come back. Myren says, you are staying there because there are thieves roaming in this area, right? Time says, I have arranged for a security team in this area. I just want to look good in Gorya's eyes. Besides, she is so stupid she won't find out anything. Just then, Gorya arrives. She says, so, tell me how stupid I am. And saying this, she starts hitting him a lot. Coming inside the house, she looks at the dress. Just then, she remembers what Rosalind had said, you can never be perfect for Time. So Gorya takes the dress and goes to Time's house. She says, I have come to return this dress. When Gorya reaches home, Time is there. She asks him, what are you doing here? Gorya's brother explains, Time was making food for you. When everyone looks at the food, the spelling of sorry is written incorrectly on it. Then the three of them eat together. Gorya thinks to herself, there are only 10 seconds left for Time's birthday. She starts counting. Time smiles at her and says, happy birthday to himself. Then they both go inside. As they leave, Time says, if you don't want to come to the party, it's okay. Gorya says, I will definitely come. And don't complain if you don't like my gift. The next day, Gorya bakes cookies for Time. The shape of the cookie is just like Time. After that, she gets ready and arrives at the party. Rosalind says to her, I have told you so many things, yet you still came here. Aren't you ashamed? Gorya says, I came to wish Time a happy birthday, and it's not your job to decide if I am perfect for someone or not. Hearing all this, Rosalind gets very angry. On the other hand, the three F3 boys are listening to all this. They say to Gorya, you are very bold. No one has ever dared to say all this before. Gorya says, I only came to give a gift, and I will leave after giving it. Just then, Time arrives and says to Gorya, you look very cute. Gorya wishes him a happy birthday. Time says, where is my birthday gift? Gorya is hiding her gift and says, I didn't bring anything. Time says, thank you, Mom. Then Rosalind makes an announcement. She says, I want to introduce you all to a guest. Just then, we see a girl running in. She suddenly bumps into Gorya. This girl's name is Lita, and she is about to get engaged to Time. And this is the announcement Rosalind was making. Hearing all this, Time, along with everyone else, is shocked. Time shouts, I will not let this happen. Suddenly, all the security guards come and grab him. Just then, MJ gives him the car keys, and Time runs, grabs Gorya's hand, and gets out of there. It turns out that Gorya was still there, and Time had mistakenly brought Lita. He is shocked to see her. He drags Lita out of the car. Lita says, since you brought me here, you have to be the one to take me back. Time gives her money and says, you can take a taxi. Lita says, you will drop me, but Time refuses. Just then, Lita climbs on his shoulder and pesters him while running. The next day, the news of Time's engagement spreads at school as well. The schoolgirls then start teasing Gorya by showing her photos of Time and Lita. Seeing all this, Gorya gets very angry and goes to the rooftop to shout. Just then, we see a boy there whose name is Talay. On the other side, Lita comes running to Gorya, so Gorya hides her. Gorya tells her, what was the need for you to come here secretly? You could have just said, I am Time's fiancé, and anyone would have let you in. Lita says, I didn't come here to meet Time. I came to meet you. Now, because Gorya's dress was ruined because of Lita, Lita had brought a new dress for her, but Gorya refuses to take it. However, Lita insists a lot, so Gorya keeps the dress. When Gorya comes home and opens the door, Time is sitting right there. Time tells her, I came back to the party, but no one waited for me. No one even gave me a gift. Gorya says, I threw your gift away. Gorya's brother says, your gift is right on top of the fridge. Gorya gives him the gift. Time asks her, did you make this? I don't think it's even edible. Gorya then asks for the gift back. Time says, this is my gift. I won't return it. At that moment, Time sees on the news that, due to the ill health of Thailand's #1 businessman, his company's shares have fallen, and this could cause a very big problem. So Time says goodbye to Gorya and leaves. The next day, Lita comes to Gorya's flower shop. She says to Gorya, let's go out. Gorya says, I am working right now, so I can't go anywhere. Lita says, if someone buys all the flowers in your shop, then you'll go, right? Then Lita buys all the flowers from the flower shop and takes Gorya to the mall. Gorya is shocked to see the price of a bag there. Lita buys that bag and gifts it to Gorya on their way out, but Gorya was refusing to take it. Lita says, if you don't take this, I will leave it right here and go. Just then, Gorya remembers that Time had done the exact same thing when she was not taking his phone. Then Gorya takes Lita to her house. Lita gets very excited seeing the things in Gorya's house because she had never seen a house like that before. She asks Gorya, "Can I come here again?" Gorya says yes. Then she asks Gorya, "What exactly is the relationship between you and Time?" Gorya explains, "Time and I are just friends." The next morning, Lita goes home. Gorya says to Time, "Lita is a nice girl." Time hugs her and says, "I have to go somewhere for a few days. I can't tell you, so wait for me." Gorya was very worried about Time. Just then, she checks on the internet that the businessman has died. Now this news was known to everyone. On the other hand, Time had returned to his home. The flowers for the businessman's funeral come from Gorya and Kanning's shop. Kevin explains, due to his death, the lives of all businessmen are going to change. Time is one of them, and today's ceremony is being hosted by the Kdrama group. The ceremony had started. Gorya, looking at Time, thinks to herself, how different our worlds are. Lita is injured, so Time gives her a bandage. Lita says, thank you to him. Then Time says, I need to talk to you about something. Don't say yes to the engagement. Lita asks, can you do anything? Time says, there must be some way. These people are arranging our marriage for business. We don't even love each other. Lita asks him, is love important to you? Time says, you probably don't know, but love is very important to me. After the ceremony, Gorya and Lita were sitting and talking for a long time. Lita explains, I have to get married to Time because of business. She asks Gorya, is love important to you? Gorya says yes. She explains, whatever the reason, we should not marry someone we do not love. Lita says, at first I didn't like Time that much, but now I feel that he is not that bad. Sooner or later, I will fall in love with him. The next morning, when Gorya comes home, Time was sleeping right there, so Gorya wakes him up. Time explains, I snuck out of the house. Gorya asks him, why did you sneak out? Time explains, there is a lot of control at home and I am also being watched, but there is no need to worry. Gorya says, you two look very good together. She is perfect for you. Now hearing all this, Time takes Gorya outside. He asks Gorya, why did you say all that? I told you I would handle everything, just wait a little. Gorya says, waiting will not change anything. Our worlds are very different. If we get out of one problem, another problem will arise. I am tired and this world is right for me. You stay with Lita because she is perfect for you. Time starts shouting at her. I did so much for you, so do I have no value at all? In the meantime, security arrives there to take Time. Time asks Gorya, did you tell them that I am here? Gorya says, you have to go back. On the other hand, Gorya gets a call. As soon as she comes out of the house, Lita is standing there. She reveals, Time came to meet me. In a flashback, we see Time telling Lita, be my girlfriend. Lita says, don't joke around. Time says, I am serious, and then posts on social media that he is in a relationship with Lita. Then he says to Lita, I will try my best to love you. In the present, Gorya also sees this news. She says, congratulations to Lita. Lita hugs her and says, I am happy. In the next scene, Ren comes to Gorya. He asks Gorya, are you thinking about Time? Gorya denies it. Ren asks her, why did you two break up? Gorya says, we were never a couple. Then Gorya asks Ren for help with her studies. Ren asks her, are you okay? Gorya says, I am perfectly fine. If Time can move on, then I can move on too. Ren says, Time is not one of those who move on easily. On the other hand, all the girls are bothering Gorya by talking about Time and Lita. So Gorya runs away from there and hides downstairs. Just then, Talay takes her away from there. Gorya says, what are you doing? Talay says, I am helping you hide. Time got angry with you, so he gave you a red card. But with me here, you don't need to worry. Meanwhile, Ren, Kevin, and MJ are trying to get information about Talay, but they don't find any negative info about him. Then as soon as someone comes, Talay tells Gorya to run from there. But everyone comes and catches Gorya. Ren tries to call Gorya, but her phone is unreachable. Meanwhile, everyone grabs Gorya and takes her to the stadium. Gorya says, don't do anything to Talay, but they punch Gorya, and she faints right there. Now, Ren arrives there. On the other side, Time and Lita are going to the prom night. The girls tell Ren, we tried to help, but these people told us not to. Those boys say, Time gave her the red card. Ren shouts, if anything happens to her, I won't spare you guys. Just then, he gets a call from Kevin. Ren tells him, Gorya got a red card. Kevin asks, who gave it? Ren says, they are all saying it was Time's order. Check the entire school's CCTV. I am taking Gorya to the hospital. Ren picks her up and takes her away. A message appears on the screen. Plan A was successful. Now it's time for Plan B. On the other side, the two of them are checking the CCTV footage, which looks like the video has been edited. MJ says, someone thinks we are fools. Ren puts Gorya in the car. Kevin is about to call him to tell him who gave Gorya the red card when someone comes from behind and hits Ren. Kevin says, Talay gave Gorya the red card, and then cuts the call and says, it's time to execute Plan B. On the other side, Time is standing quietly at the party. Just then, Lita comes to him. She has baked cookies for him. She says, I saw you eating cookies. I won't ask who made those cookies. I just want you to like me. So I made cookies as best as I could. I will keep trying until you like me. Just then, an announcement for a dance is made, so Lita takes him to the dance floor. As soon as Time turns on his phone, he receives a message from Talai, along with a photo of Gorya. The message says, if you want to see Gorya alive, come to this location and come alone. As soon as he sees the message, Time starts running from there. Now, a message from a screwdriver appears on the screen which says, it's time for F4 to be punished. In the next scene, we see that some people have tied Gorya to a chair. As soon as she regains consciousness, she looks around and asks everyone, why are you all doing this to me? Talai says, I gave you the red card. I want Time to feel how it is when someone he cares about gets hurt. On the other side, we see Time angrily going towards Talai. Just then, he gets a call from Kevin. Kevin explains, someone attacked Ren. Then Kevin asks, where are you? Time says, I am going to Talai's place. Kevin says, talk to MJ first. MJ explains, there is a group called MTF. That group consists of people who received a red card, and this group has a connection with Fufa. Fufa was the same boy to whom Time had given a red card. Talai tells Gorya, one of our boys, Fufa, got a red card. I am doing all this to get revenge for him. Gorya asks, was he your brother? Talai laughs and says, he was an idiot. Talai explains, his dad was very good. I was an orphan. He adopted me, educated me, raised me. Fufa was like a brother to me. He was very talented. I knew his future would be bright, but F4 ruined his life. Gorya asks, are you not a student of the school? Talai says, I hacked the school system and enrolled my name. It turns out that Talai was an expert in computers, and he also worked in Fufa's dad's company. After receiving the red card, Fufa's condition became very bad. The school washed its hands of responsibility and said his condition was due to drowning in the pond. Seeing all this, Talai got very angry because no lawyer agreed to take the case, and all of his dad's money was spent on Fufa's treatment, which led to the factory also shutting down. Talai says, when I entered the school, no one was being given a red card because Time had stopped that system. That's why I formed a team of people who hated F4. So I thought, I will get my revenge. You were also against them, but you forgave them so easily. Do you even know how bad they are? You still have a chance. Come to our side. Gorya says, your way of doing things is wrong. They have changed now. Talai says, they will have to answer for whatever they did. Gorya says, you still have time. We can find another way. But Talai gets angry. And in the meantime, Time also arrives there. He says to Talai, let Gorya go. Talai says, I don't ruin people's lives like you. He shows him the red card and says, you are responsible for this game. Do you even know how many people you have harmed? You give people red cards, hit them, and then fix everything by throwing money. All the guys grab him and start beating him up. Talai says, seeing you get beaten gives me great satisfaction. Gorya says, you are not like this. Talai says, I was always like this. I was just pretending to be good in front of you. Gorya says, if you were bad, Fufa wouldn't have loved you so much. You're just a kid. Just then, a boy pushes Gorya down and shouts, you talk too much. He was about to hit her again, but Talai takes a glass bottle and hits the boy hard on the head. Time says, if you don't want to do all this, then don't. Talai says to him, shut up, and then hits him again. Gorya says, are you going to kill him? Time says, don't worry about me. I'm not going to die so easily. She says, fight. Time says, if I fight, I will lose. Talai shouts at him, shut up. The rest of the guys start to stop Talai and say, if you don't stop, Time will die. Talai says, if he dies, I will feel even better. He was about to hit Time with a stool, but Gorya frees her hand, runs over, and the stool that was about to hit Time falls on Gorya. She says, that's enough. Stop now. Talai, who was already very angry, leaves from there. In the next scene, Gorya is in the hospital. Just then, she regains consciousness. Cunning tells Kevin, Gorya has regained consciousness. She tells Gorya, you were unconscious for a long time. So Gorya asks about Time, but Canning doesn't say anything. Gorya gets up and leaves, asks the nurse for Time's room, and goes there. All three guys were there. Gorya, crying, says to Time, get up, you can't leave me like this. I haven't even told you how much I love you yet. Now we see that Time was perfectly fine, and everyone starts laughing and celebrating Time being alive. So Gorya starts hitting Time with a pillow. Time stops her and says, I love you too. Gorya, while hitting him, says, this is not the time to say such things. Everyone is happily having fun with each other. Lita, hearing their conversation, leaves from there and also throws the flowers in the dustbin. Then, Ren meets Talai and says, we will apologize to everyone we hurt. Fufa is also on the list. Talai says, doing that won't make anyone forgive you. because you have no idea how much you people have hurt them. In a flashback, we see Time had gone to everyone and apologized to them. In the present, Ren says, everyone has forgiven. Now only Fufa is left. Tale is about to get angry. Ren explains, Time has changed after meeting Gorya. Your anger is completely justified, but put an end to this matter now. Tale says, I will not end this so easily. Then he shows Ren a video in which Time is confessing that he himself was responsible for the red card game. Tale says, I will post this video on the internet. Hearing this, Ren gets tense. On the other hand, as soon as Gorya reaches home, some people kidnap her and take her to Time's house. Time says, I only said to bring Gorya, not to kidnap her. Gorya asks, why did you call me here? Time says, I needed to talk to you. He explains, Ren went to meet Tale, and he has threatened to post my video. If this news gets out, everything will be over. My life will not be the same as before. Gorya asks, what will you do now? In a flashback scene, we see that after taking the phone from Tale, Time had posted the video himself. In the present, Gorya, while hitting him, asks, why did you do all this? Time says, I don't know what is going to happen. As soon as Gorya searches on the internet, she doesn't find anything there. Time says, how can this be? I posted the video myself. Just then, Gorya receives a voice message from Tale. He says to her, I'm sorry, now I am not against F4. Thank you for making me understand. And also tell Time to check before posting a video next time. I had set it to only me, so no one else could see it. Time says, I know I did very wrong, but I will fix everything, and I will try my best to become a good person. Gorya says, whatever problems come, we will face them together. She thanks Time and takes him with her. Outside, Time has ordered a telescope through which he shows Gorya a meteor shower. Gorya says, I am seeing it for the first time, but unfortunately, it is only for a short time. Or, just then, Time shows her a pendant and says, this will last forever. I had it specially made for you. It has Gorya and Time written on it. I love you very much, and I always will. Be my girlfriend. Gorya refuses him. Time asks, now what is the problem? Gorya says, you are still in a relationship with Lita. Time says, in the mess with Tale, I completely forgot about Lita. Gorya says, Lita is my friend, and I don't want to hurt her. Time says, don't worry, I will talk to Lita. So Gorya gives him back his pendant. Time says, you keep it with you. After solving everything, I will propose to you again. Then Gorya starts to leave. Time says, it's dangerous to go at night. He asks her, can you stay here for the night? But Gorya refuses and leaves. But she accidentally breaks a vase. Just then, Lita sees them together and asks, Gorya, what are you doing here? And Time, aren't girls not allowed in your house at night? Time was about to answer, but Lita silences him and demands an answer from Gorya. Just then, the maid comes and explains, I gave Gorya permission to stay here. She is Time's personal maid. After Lita leaves, Gorya says, thank you to her. The maid says, I haven't helped you. You will have to pay for the vase you broke, and you won't have that much money, so I have hired you as a maid here. Gorya asks the price of the vase. The auntie says, 70,000. Hearing this, Gorya is shocked. The auntie says, if you don't want to work here, then find another way to pay the money. So Gorya agrees. From the next day, Gorya starts working there. In the morning, when she goes to clean Time's room, she screams upon seeing Time. Time says, this is my room. And don't worry, I am trying to talk to Lita, but she is not receiving my phone calls, so I will go to her house and talk. Just then, the maid comes and says, I know you are Time's friend, but that doesn't mean you can talk to him all the time. Your next task is to feed Time. Gorya then feeds him. The next day, Lita is looking at photos of herself and Gorya when her parents arrive. They ask, will Time also come here? Lita says, he will definitely come because he knows his responsibilities. Lita's parents are only talking about the wedding when Time stops them and says, I need to talk to you about something. But before Time can say anything, Lita interrupts, I want to cancel the wedding. Her parents ask for the reason. Lita then stomps hard on Time's foot to make him angry and says to her parents, he gets angry over everything. No matter how much I try to explain to him, he always scolds me. Even on our first meeting, he left me in the middle of the road. Time asks her, what is your problem? Lita says, I hate you. She tells her parents, I don't want to marry him. He is not a good boy at all, and he's not my type either. Her dad says, it will be as you wish. Then he says to Time, we will cancel the wedding in such a way that neither party suffers any loss. In the next scene, Kavan picks Gorya up and puts her in the car. Time is also inside the car. Time asks her, can't you answer me now? Gorya gives him his pendant and says, put this on me. Time puts the pendant on her. Gorya says, this was the answer. Time says, when did you give the answer? Gorya says, putting on the pendant means I said yes. Time keeps looking at her. Gorya says, now we are a couple. Meanwhile, Time's mom also gets the news of the broken engagement. In the next scene, Gorya is talking to her mom while going home when she sees Ren standing outside her house. Gorya asks, what happened? Ren tells her, leave from here. But Gorya pushes him and goes inside. She sees that some people are throwing all the things from her house outside. And all this is the work of Time's mom. Now, a past scene is shown in which MJ orders food from the same place where Alm works. MJ takes the food and tells her to go back to work. Then at night, we see the two of them talking. Alm reveals that her dream is to become a basketball player. She says she doesn't go to any school, nor is she part of any club. Then she explains that a competition is going to be held. If she wins, she won't need to practice anymore. MJ says, I will help you with practice. The team they had defeated is now ready to take revenge. On the other hand, the auntie had informed Time about this. Gorya tries to stop those people, but they say, we are just following orders. Gorya asks, who gave this order? Just then, Miss Rosalind's manager arrives. He tells Gorya, now this land belongs to the Kdrama Group. The owner of this land has sold this house to Madam. At that moment, Gorya gets a call from Time's mom. She says, I am in Thailand right now. If you want to talk to me, come to my house. Just then, Time says to his mom, Gorya will not talk to you. This time, you have crossed your limits. His mom says, I am just doing business. His mom says, this game is just like your red card game that you used to play in school. I have given Gorya a red card. If you can stop me, then show me. Everyone tells Time, don't worry about us. Then they ask, why are you not with Gorya? Time explains, she wants to stay with Caning right now. Ren asks, how can we help you? Tell us whatever needs to be done. We are ready. Meanwhile, in the flower shop, the two of them are talking. Gorya says, she wants to separate me from Time, but I will not let that happen. Her uncle says, those people are powerful. Gorya says, I am not afraid of them. Just then, her uncle shows her a room and says, this has been vacant for a long time. You can stay here, and don't worry about money at all. You will keep getting your salary every month. Now everyone brings things for her new home. Time says, you are not alone at all. We are all with you. Ren says, we also want to help. So now Gorya also agrees. Everyone together sets up the room nicely. Gorya asks Time, what will we do now? Time says, I don't know, but for a few days I won't go home. I will stay at Ren's house, and after today, you don't need to fight alone. I am always with you. Gorya asks, when will your mom accept us? Time says, I don't know. Let's see who gives up first, me or mom. Gorya says, I was sad the whole time, but I'm happy since you came. She is about to kiss Time, but just then everyone arrives there. They say, Time has grown up now. Time runs to hit them. Just then, Time gets a call from someone and he becomes very tense. MJ and Kaven tell Gorya, all of Time's cards have been blocked and there's a rumor. People are saying, Time's mom is going to disown him from the Kdrama Group. Just then, they hear her uncle shouting, so they run outside. It turns out that this shop no longer belongs to her uncle either. Just then, Conning gets a call from her dad. It turns out that her dad has also been fired from his job. Time was very tense. Ren asks him, what should we do now? Flashback scene. We see the auntie had told Time, your mom will do everything to separate you and Gorya, but you must not be afraid. Whenever we try to do something good, problems always arise. The more your mom hurts Gorya, the more Gorya's powers will increase. Then we see Gorya going to meet Time's mom. She says, I know you are smart. I cannot defeat you. I will go away from Time. You make everything like it was before. Time's mom says, you are smart. You understood quickly. Gorya explains, Time used to be just like you, someone who would do anything to win. But now he has changed. He will never become the person you want him to be. Even if we are not together, he will never love you. She says, there must be something about you. That's why you changed Time. I did very wrong by you. I'm sorry for that. When Gorya comes out from there, she sees that Time had called her many times. Just then, Gorya calls him and asks, can we meet? Time comes to her and asks, what did my mom talk to you about? Gorya says, I went to convince your mom, and she has agreed. Time hugs her, but Gorya was looking very sad. Then she asks him to go for a walk. After having fun for a long time, they are talking. Gorya asks him, what will you do in the future? Time says, I will handle the Kdrama Group with you. Flashback scene. We see Time's mom saying, Time hates me, but Time is my last hope to handle the Kdrama Group. Present. Time says, I will completely change the Kdrama Group. Doing so will change people's lives. It will help people, and the business will also grow. Time's mom says, the Kdrama Group has many enemies. If I make Time the head, the other companies will defeat him. They'll think he is a child. He has to learn the business. Time says to Gorya, it will take 15 to 20 years to complete what I have decided. Give me time, I will show you everything. His mom says, Time needs time. But if things continue like this, everything will be finished, because Time doesn't know anything. Just then, it starts to rain. He tells Gorya to go, but Gorya stays right there. Time asks, what happened? Gorya says, we should break up. Time says, this is all because of my mom, isn't it? Gorya denies it. Time asks, who did she hurt this time? Gorya says, she gave me a paper. Time asks, what kind of paper? Gorya explains, she gave me a check. In a flashback, Time's mom shows Gorya her medical report and says, I have cancer. She continues, Time needs time to learn the business, but I don't have time. If something happens to me, everything will be over. If something happens to me, everything will be over. Time's life will be ruined. I don't want that. That's why I am forcing Time to grow up quickly. After me, Time will run the Kdrama group, and you are the only person who can make him like he was before. As a mother, I am requesting you, make Time like he was before. Then she hugs Gorya and breaks down in tears. Present. Time asks, she gave you money, and you took the money? Do I look like a fool to you? Gorya says, she gave me money to stay away from you, and I took it. To be honest, I have never seen so much money in my life. Time says, I know you are lying. You can never take money. Gorya says, the person you know, I am not her. I did everything in school just to get your attention because I knew you were rich. Time asks, was everything that happened between us a lie? Gorya says, it was very difficult to pretend to be in love with you. Everything happened according to my plan. Now I don't need to act anymore. Time still couldn't believe it. He says to Gorya, tell me the truth. Time says, how can this be true? How much money did she give you? Gorya says, a lot of money. Seeing Time cry, Gorya also starts to cry and says, you are a child. You can't do anything. Grow up. This is my last piece of advice. Time asks, have you ever seen me as a normal person? Gorya returns his pendant and says, if you were a normal person, I wouldn't have even looked at you. Time throws the pendant far away and leaves from there. Gorya keeps looking at the pendant, and the next day, she leaves for her village. She sits on the train and looks at a box. Flashback scene. We see Gorya had taken that pendant back. In the next scene, the manager says to Rosalind, Gorya has left from here, and now Time has to learn the business. Just then, Rosalind burns her medical reports. Then a scene from 1 year later is shown. We see Time, who has become the CEO of the company. If people's performance is poor, he fires them from their jobs. Seeing all this, his mom is very happy. Tia comes to him and says, you are doing a bit too much. Those people have been working for us for a long time. You are becoming just like mom. You were better when you were with Gorya. Then one day, news about farmers is playing on TV, and just then, Ren spots Gorya. Then Ren comes to Time, shows him Gorya's photo on his phone, and says, I know where Gorya is. On the other side, when Gorya reaches home, some people were harassing her family. Gorya asks them why they are doing all this. They start demanding their money back. All those people push Gorya and go inside the house. Gorya was very tense. Just then, a car stops there, and Ren gets out of it. Gorya asks him, how did you get here? A lady asks, is this your boyfriend who will return our money? Ren says yes. Then he returns all the people's money, cleans Gorya's clothes, and says, you can return my money later. I know you don't want help, but I want to help. Gorya asks, what do you want? Ren says, I am hungry. So Gorya makes noodles for him. She gives Ren the noodles and says, I don't know if you will like it or not. Ren says, if you made it, it must be tasty. Gorya's parents go to prepare a room for him, but Gorya stops them. Ren says, I want to stay right here. Can I stay here? Gorya says, you can stay as long as you want. Then we see Ren helping a lot with their farming. Gorya's parents' boat gets stuck, so Ren jumps into the water and helps them. Gorya asks, what do you want me to do? Ren then asks her, will you go on a date with me? Then we see the three of them at the beach. They enjoy a lot there. Gorya's brother says, ever since she came here, she hasn't even smiled. She has forgotten how to smile. Thank you for today. In the next scene, we see Tia. She tells Time, the company you canceled the contract with will be ruined. She asks Time, will you do nothing at all? His mom says, you don't have a better choice than this. Only your signature is left. The future of the Kdrama group is in your hands. On the other side, when Gorya comes home, Ren was not there. Just then, Ren calls her and asks, can you meet me? Time had signed the file. Just then, we see someone kidnapping Time. Ren asks Gorya, how do you feel living here? Gorya says, this place is nice, but life here is hard. Many adjustments have to be made, but I won't go back. Ren says, even after coming so far, you haven't been able to forget Time, because Time is your home. Gorya starts to cry. Ren, laughing, shows a video on his phone. MJ and Kevin were the ones who kidnapped Time. Gorya says, why are you showing me this? Ren says, keep watching. You will get your answers. Time asks, is this all a joke? Kevin says, if that deal is successful tomorrow, then the power of the entire country will be in your mom's hands. Then, even if they want to, no one will be able to stop her. Time says, I can't do anything, so let me go. MJ says, the love lecture is still left because only love can fix you. Time says, there is no place for love in all these things. MJ says, no matter how risky your idea is, we are with you because we love you very much. Kevin says, the future you want is possible. We are here for Gorya. If she can change you so much, then why can't we? Trust your heart. Time stands up with his hands open. Both of them get scared, but Time goes and hugs them and asks, I can still do this, right? Kevin asks him, you still think about Gorya, don't you? Time says, I think about Gorya all the time. Hearing this, Gorya also starts to cry. Ren tells Gorya, your brother told me about Time's mom's cancer. If Time's mom had cancer, I would have known. You have been fooled. Gorya shouts and says to Time, I'm sorry. I am a huge idiot. On the other hand, Time had left for the meeting. MJ tells Ren, everything is fine here. Gorya immediately says to Ren, go to Bangkok. Meanwhile, the meeting had started and Time also arrives there. He says, I was preparing documents all night. His mom asks, what documents? Time says to everyone, see my new policy. His mom says, I will not let this happen. On the other side, Gorya had also arrived there. Time first talks about his mom's policy, which has always profited the Kdrama group. This time, they have to raise a fund of 7 billion. After that, he talks about his policy, which won't bring much profit, but no company associated with them will be ruined. Time says, the work is a bit difficult, but not impossible. And here is the proof. MJ, Kevin, and Ren have already given Time a fund of 3 billion. These three are ready for this project, he continues. Now, you all can tell me your decision, but I have one condition. Kdrama Group will have to follow my policy. This project will be successful, and I am guaranteeing it. No one says anything, so Time's mom starts to smile and apologizes to everyone. Just then, a man stands up and says, my company will support Time's policy. Then, one by one, all the people agree. Just then, Kevin messages him, Gorya is coming to see you. Tia says, I will handle the meeting. Time runs out of there. While running, he bumps into someone. He recognizes the man. He was the owner of the Sichan company. His company was ruined because of them. Time's mom comes out of the meeting. Meanwhile, Gorya's shoelace breaks. The owner of the Sichan company was about to stab Time's mom, but just then, Time comes in between, and the knife hits him. Seeing this, everyone gets scared. The news of Time being stabbed appears on TV. Then, Time is taken to the hospital. Due to excessive bleeding, his condition is quite serious. On the other side, we see Gorya, who was crying a lot. Time's treatment was ongoing, and on social media, everyone was praying for him. Just then, Ren gets a call from Kevin, who tells him Time has regained consciousness. Kevin tells him something else that shocks Ren. Gorya comes and asks, what happened? Kevin explains, on Time's mom's orders, we are not being allowed to meet Time. Kevin says, I just know that Time is not the same as before. Meanwhile, Time's mom was getting angry at the doctors. The doctor explains, Time has a brain injury, and his heartbeat had even stopped for some time. Rosalind says, I don't know anything, you have to fix him. Tia says, Time is alive, that's enough, and he will get well soon. Rosalind asks Time, what do you remember? Then she shows him photos of F4. Time remembers his friends, but when she shows Gorya's photo, Time says no. Tia was telling her not to do this, but her mom has her removed from there. She says to Time, your dream is to rule the Kdrama group, and if you want to win, you have to obey me. To which Time says, yes. Time is brought outside, but the bodyguards don't let anyone meet him. Gorya pushes them and reaches Time, asking, are you okay? Time says, who are you, and how did you touch me? Just then, Tia comes and says to Gorya, please forgive me, I couldn't help you. Or, Gorya asks her, what happened? Tia explains, Time has a brain injury, and because of that, he doesn't remember anything from the last 4 years. His memories of the last 4 years are gone, and Mom is taking advantage of this. She has stopped Time's treatment because she wants to restart everything from scratch and wants to remove you from Time's life. In the flower shop, the uncle looks at Gorya and says, will she be able to move on? Just then, Gorya shouts, Time, how can you forget me? MJ asks Gorya, you will fight to bring back Time's memories, won't you? Gorya says yes and asks, how will we do it? Kevin says, don't you worry about that. I have made the whole plan. At that moment, Gorya reaches Time's room. Everyone had made this plan. Gorya says to Time, I need to talk to you about something. Gorya shows him a photo and says, I am your girlfriend. When we went on a date, you bought this for me. Then she also shows him all the messages exchanged between them. She gives Time the same cookies and says, I made these same cookies on your birthday. You said, I look more handsome than the cookie. Time says, Mom was right, you can't be trusted. Photos can be edited. Gorya says, I am telling the truth. Time says, do I look stupid to you? And then he says to the guard, get her out. Gorya tells him, shut up. Time says, my shirt is very expensive, and pushes her, saying, no matter what you say, I don't trust you one bit. Why would I be in a relationship with a loser girl like you? Gorya kicks him and says, your memory is gone. What's the need to be so arrogant? Become like you were before. I am waiting for you. Then she says, I love you very much. Time slowly starts to remember everything. Gorya says to him, remember something. But just then, Time's mom arrives there. Time's mom has Gorya thrown out of the house. She says, how dare you enter my house and hurt my son? Gorya says, I am not hurting Time. You are. You don't understand his feelings at all. You just use him for your own work. She slaps Gorya and says, whatever I am doing is right for Time. Then she says to the guard, never let her come inside again. Then we see Gorya, who was waiting right there all night, drenched in the rain. Gorya is feeling cold. Just then, Time's mom comes and says, how long will you wait here? You know I won't let you meet Time. Gorya says, I need to talk to you. Then she says, I have understood why you were so angry. You are not selfish and you love Time very much. You behave very rudely with Time. You did all this because you want him to rule the Kdrama group one day, but you didn't think about his happiness. In a flashback scene, we see Tia had told her mom, Gorya is fighting as if to get everything just like you do, but she only wants Time. You should also think about Time's happiness. Gorya doesn't want your power or money. Time's mom says, I know Time well. Ever since he was little, he used to talk about managing the Kdrama group. Gorya says, he wanted to do all this for you so that you would feel proud of Time. He loves you very much. He told me, no one talks while eating, not even a laugh. When he had dinner with my family, then he understood the meaning of family. He doesn't want much more. If he can eat happily with his family, that's enough for him. He will be happy with just that. You want me not to meet him? That's fine. I want you to see him smile, just like I have seen him smile. Time's mom remembers. Time never smiled in front of her, but when he was with Gorya, he was happy. Just then, Time arrives there. He asks, how do you know about my smile? It's not like you're saying. My dream is to come out on top. Gorya says, your dream is something else. Time shouts at her, be quiet, and says, you don't know me at all. Gorya says, I know you. Time says, the one who knows me doesn't argue with me. You are saying you are my girlfriend, but look at your condition. You are scared of me. Gorya crying says, come back. Time says, come back to what? I am like this. Go back to where you came from. Gorya says, I can't change you again. I love you very much. Time shouts at her, leave. Gorya, crying, leaves from there. While going inside the house, Time sees Gorya's pendant. It had fallen when he was throwing her out of the house. Seeing the pendant, Time starts to remember everything. Just then, his mom says to him, open the gate. As soon as Time remembers everything, he runs and reaches Gorya. He asks Gorya, did I put this pendant on you? You must have forced me to do all this. Gorya says, we were a couple. Time says, that can't be. I never had a girlfriend. Just then, he starts to cough. Gorya goes to him, and Time says, stay away from me. He had a fever, so Gorya says to him, take medicine. When Time refuses, she says, don't be stubborn. Time had remembered everything. Gorya smiles. Time, angry at himself, says, I hurt you again. Gorya says, you remembered everything, and that is enough for me. Time posts a photo of himself and Gorya on social media, which makes the three of them happy. In the next scene, we see that Gorya has her last exam, and her parents had also returned to Bangkok. After that day, Time went to the USA for 4 years for further studies. Now he has become a big businessman. MJ and Kevin drop Gorya to school daily. Gorya says, I will go by bus. Kevin says, your boyfriend gave the order. In a flashback scene, we see Time had taught his friends many rules, and according to rule number 76, no boy will be seen around Gorya. Gorya says, today is the last day, so I want to go by myself. MJ says, all right, we will meet at the prom. Gorya asks them, are you guys coming too? Kevin says, we will come. Don't know about Time. Are you missing him? Gorya agrees and says to them, you can leave. MJ says, at least let us wish you luck. They both kiss her on the forehead and say, I hope you top. Seeing this, the girls start screaming. Gorya says, now no one gets a red card. Even if someone bothers someone or the other saves them. After completing the exam, Gorya is on the rooftop when Ren arrives. He gives Gorya a box and says, Time sent this for you for the prom. Inside the box is a dress. Today her dad had to deliver some goods, but due to his ill health, Gorya had to do that work. Everyone was waiting for her. MJ says, prom night is about to end if she doesn't arrive on time. Ren says, she will arrive. Gorya arrives after the party is over and sits down, tired. There she finds a card from F4 with directions written on it. Gorya follows those directions and reaches the stadium. The three of them come out and scare her. Ren says, the one who gave you the red card is waiting for you inside. Inside, a screen was set up. Time says, why are you so late? And what are you wearing? I sent you a dress. Gorya says, I'm sorry. The dress fell in the mud. Gorya asks him, are you not busy? Time says yes and adds, "This is all I can do for you. Are you sad? Your boyfriend is not with you." Gorya says no and says, "You should work." Time says, "You haven't seen your boyfriend for a year? Are you not even a little sad?" Gorya says, "I am a little sad." Time says, "I will cancel all my schedules." The three of them come and say, "Enough, that's enough." Gorya says, "But you were in the USA." Time says, "How could I not come to my girlfriend's prom night?" Time comes to her and says, "I managed to find time with great difficulty." Gorya says, "This is a surprise." Time says, "The surprise is yet to come. I have completed my work in the US and have come back." Everyone thinks he will get down on his knees and propose to her, but he just starts tying his shoelaces and says, "If you want to study further, I will wait." Everyone becomes sad. Time asks, "What happened?" Gorya says, "You don't know how to do anything." MJ says to everyone, "Let's celebrate." Gorya explains, "Everyone helped me a lot." First is MJ, who is a very big businessman. He is always ready for his friends. He is a mafia, but a soft-hearted person. Second is Kevin, who is a playboy, but he also has a soft side. No matter what people think of him from the outside, he is a very good person on the inside. And the third is Ren, who is my first love. He is a person who can tell what people are thinking just by looking at them. In the end, he understood me the most. Last is Time, the leader of the F4 group, who changed my life. He taught me, love is not given with power and money but is done from the heart. And here, the drama ends.